Man, it's go time. I hope everybody's doing very well. This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the forex market. This is another morning episode of Trade with Travis. Hopefully, everybody's doing very well. Um, Hopefully, you end up having a very good trading day yesterday. The moves and everything else that we end up planning out for FOMC actually end up playing out. We had to be able to do a little bit of work. No one said anything was going to end up being easy when it came down to being able to get in, but hopefully, if you end up remaining in the overall plan and end up running the trades the way that they were supposed to, you should be a very happy person taking a look at what's happening with the market. So let's go ahead and get through with the disclaimer. We'll talk about those positions. I'm pretty sure there's no position this morning that I would be interested in being able to get in at this particular point. But we will talk about those overall positions. We'll talk about everything else like that, and basically review and then see what's going to happen today. So I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. I understand that trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative for future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you can end up making money today. So with that being said, super excited to be able to talk to everybody as we go through and take a look at what ended up happening yesterday and seeing what's happening overall today, if there's anything today, at least early throughout the day. So I want to make sure that I end up talking to the good folks over at YT, and we'll go ahead and get started with everything else that we end up doing. So just want to make sure that they can be able to see everything that I've written. And we will go from there. All right, cool. So overall, yesterday, couple things ended up happening. First thing was that we ended up having impact. We ended up having a high impact day, even though it wasn't necessarily a fundamentals day. It was a fundamentals day. There was 6 impact news, high impact news, including the monetary policy statement and what ended up happening with the interest rate decision. As we end up taking a look at the chart, from there, we end up having the Bank of Japan end up having that interest rate decision. The interest rate remained to be the same. So we'll see how that kind of affect stuff that happened with U.S. yen and all the other Japanese-based pairs. But overall, yesterday was a big day. Today, what we're going to end up seeing in the next 28 minutes is going to end up being stuff that's going to happen with the pound. So we will pay attention to GU and a few other pairs like that. So if you are interested in being able to take a look at pound yen, pound JPY, a few other pairs like that, I will get into those real quick. But I'm going to go very quickly on what ended up happening yesterday for these overall trades, because moves are over with in my mind. Especially if you're trying to make a move that's going in the direction of how the market actually ends up moving. So I want to make sure that everybody has a chance of being able to see it. But I can tell you right now, DAX is done, German 40 is done, NAS and US 30 has a little bit of a ways to go, but we'll see how everything kind of plays out. US 30, what ended up happening was this. Last time that we ended up talking, we ended up seeing that the market was, it ended up bouncing off of support, and I was like, okay, well, if the market ends up giving us a high, then I'll do strategy 4, which is being able to take a look at shorting it when the market gets up there. I had the anticipation that obviously because the market was going from 2.5% when it comes down to an interest rate to 3.25, that we're going to end up seeing some selling that was going to end up happening. The market has to price that action in. And that's exactly what ended up happening. The market ended up getting up to the sell zone, took a sell, went stagnant for a little bit. As soon as the news came out, fell 300 points. Fell 300 points all the way to the support level. Took a couple profits on those, and then after that, the market bounced back up. Here's the thing that I did not anticipate. Typically, when you end up having a retracement like that, you're going to end up having some type of or anytime that you have a move like that, you're going to end up having some type of retracement. I wasn't expecting a full 100% retracement. And in the midst of being able to see that, I was not inside of my office. I was actually somewhere. I was actually somewhere else in a parking lot trying to sit up there and make these trades instead of being on my home computer. But even with that being said, market ended up popping back up to the upside, went all the way back up, went up to 3,100 or 3,150. And if you take a look at what ended up happening with 3,150, we take a look at we look at the last area where the market starts giving us a little bit of slack. Essentially, what ended up happening was that they went inside of this vortex area, ended up getting caught right here, where a lot of sellers end up hitting it, and basically market ended up falling down an insane amount of points once again in a day. We're talking about almost 1,000 points for its overall movement, 1,050 to be exact, when it came down to that movement. So that means that today we're going to see the market start to retrace. Now, there's still a D extension that's expected to be hit at 29,840. Currently, right now, the market is doing a continuation move. And as that continuation move starts to play itself out and kind of move from there, we will see how the market kind of reacts. The last few times that the market has made movements like this, essentially, we end up having uh, a big move, then after that, big drop, consolidation, and then after that, a continuation move. So I do expect to see a continuation move to be able to happen. Market probably might stay inside of this channel. Once it gets back up to 30,500, 580, somewhere around there, I think that's where the market will kind of react and truly prove if it's ready to be able to follow and continue to make that move, or pop up to the upside and be able to go from there. But for right now, there's no play on this one yet. I would not look at buying. I'm not trading against the trend. The trend is bearish. And so we'll wait to be able to get a high price. But hopefully everybody made their money off of that movement. Same thing, US 30. What ended up happening was ended up catching the sales at 11,890. Market popped up to the upside. I had a buy trade that ended up going from 11,890 to 11,990. Ended up hitting that profit. As soon as it ended up popping back up to the upside, fell drastically down. Now, same deal. If you notice, there's a big, large wick that ended up happening right here. Once that large wick ended up happening right here, the market ended up popping back up, and then after that, rapidly falling down. Uh, my eyes just wasn't on the computer when that happened, so uh, kind of upset that I ended up missing that. But we ended up catching the move right when the market ended up breaking the vortex at 11,700, in which that was the original plan anyway. There's still movement down to 11,370. Currently, right now, this market has retested this overall counter trend line break. So the continuation move on this one will probably end up happening faster than what will end up happening with US 30. So NAS 100 will probably be the one that I'll pay attention to the most based off of this movement. I would like to be able to see how this market kind of reacts. If it gets back inside of that consolidation box, then that would be something that we have to be able to pay attention to. Obviously, we see that it's already happening with DAX. Uh, so probably wouldn't necessarily, once again, probably not going to end up being in a rush to be able to make the trade. It's going to have to prove itself that it's ready to be bearish again before being able to make a move off of that. But I ended up taking profit off of that move as well. DAX, what ended up happening was that it fell down, went inside of its consolidation area. It had a smaller vortex area to be able to prove or to be able to complete. It went 84 points, hit the take profit. As soon as it hit take profit, bounced right back up, ended up roaring back up, back inside the consolidation box. And currently, right now, is in the middle. So there's really no play for DAX on this one at all to be able to trade. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that that's probably a great move to be able to get in at this particular point for what's that movement. Uh, XVX 500 did the same thing. Let me pull up a chart for XVX 500. But all of these were plans that we end up talking about either the day before or 2 days before or anything else like that. Legitimately, uh, if you would have caught them, if you would have just played it out, plotted it out, did everything else that you need to do, you would end up making profit off of it. That's all. That's all we end up asking for. That's all I end up asking for when it comes down to this. We're here to make money, obviously. Uh, and essentially, what ended up happening with this one, market went up to the resistance, fell down, put us in the trade, took us out of the trade the first time, placed the trade back in at 32, 38, 29, wrote it all the way down to 38, 37, 87. That was the last move of this one before we started seeing this major consolidation. So as we kind of look at what's happening with US 30, I mean, as we take a look at what's happening with XVX 500, we're pretty much at the last line of defense when it comes down to this movement. The market ends up breaking below 3750, then there's going to be a major drop that's going to end up happening. And the reason why I know it's going to be a major drop is because we don't have as much data to be able to work off of when it comes down to being able to see what's happening with this movement. It'll be broken below the B, and because it is broken below the B, now we're talking about going after Fibonacci D extensions. The Fibonacci D extension for this one ended up being at 3465. So once again, anything below 3750, uh, that is one of those trades to where I would look at being able to say how how long can you stay in a trade? Are you willing to be able to stay in a trade as long as you possibly can? There's a bigger window of 3688 all the way down to 3450 that I would like to be able to take advantage of. We're going big fish hunting when that happens. Trying to catch one of those big vortex waves that we can be able to get into uh, and be able to ride that play out. But uh, that's the next biggest move that we have to be able to pay attention to. I think once again that move is going to end up happening at 3750 to the downside. That'll be the first area where it could drop, and then after that, I'll probably place in a couple trades and then leave one trade open and let us and see if it's going to end up making that big move and be able to go from there. So need a high price first to be able to make that happen, or if you're going to end up placing in a trade like this at this particular point in time, I will look at being able to place a high stop loss on it as well, with the expectation that the market would retrace. What's going on, Zach? Hope everything's going well with you. Um, we'll see how everything kind of plays out with that. So we took a look at those pairs. Now I want to take a look at what's happening with the pounds because obviously we're going to end up having some news that's going to come out in a second. So I'm going to go pound United States dollar to see what's happening with that. Kind of get an idea about what's happening with that overall movement. Uh, then after that, I'm going to go pound yen because the interest rate for the yen actually ended up coming out a little bit earlier. So we'll see how that kind of plays out as well. I got a better thing for you. You've been taking notes on these videos. I actually have a free webinar that's going to end up happening a little bit later on tonight where I end up talking about it. So if you're interested in being able to learn a little bit more about that, just send me a private message, and I get you set up. I get you set up with that link a little bit later on today. Got a few people that's already done signed up for it, but you're interested in being able to pop in. Uh, I definitely send you over the link. All right, so pound United States dollar, what has happened? Market has finally completed that D extension move. We talked about how the market was basically in the push zone, or it's very close to completing that D extension move at 1.185. It wouldn't surprise me if the market ends up completing the D extension first before actually being able to move to the upside, meaning that the market may fall first before being able to pop up. The low of this price was 1.21. There's still about 100 points that's still somewhat left on this one. I still consider this market to be bearish, even though we see this candlestick showing off as being bullish already. But it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me one bit if the market ends up falling down, completing that D extension, then after that starting to push back up. If that does not happen, uh, then we'll see the market basically be bearish. But based off of the news that's getting ready to happen in the next 17 minutes, uh, another thing that wouldn't surprise me is that this market uh, gets some good news, pushes up to the upside, retests, and then starts trying to go up first before being able to U-turn. Currently, right now, my thought process will be bearish. So I wouldn't look at being able to scalp because this market is in an R3. So I'm going to stay away from pound United States. I want to see if we can be able to get something from pound JPY. Let's see. Let's see if we can be able to get something from this one. How you do yesterday, Zach? How did you do in your trades yesterday? Let's see. All right, so this is what's happening. Market is in the middle of creating a ABCD move. Bam, market went down to the 618. Market's expected to go up to 180. Currently, right now, you take a look at it from a daily perspective, we can see that the market is truly in consolidation. Um, and it fell off support the last time, or a little bit earlier today. I'm guessing that's from when the news came out with the Japanese yen about their interest rate decision. I guarantee you, when we look at this candlestick and zoom in a little bit more, probably a big candlestick to the downside. Yep, there it is. Big candlestick to the downside based off of Japanese yen information about their interest rate. And then after that, it fell off and hit support. Currently, right now, I would not look at being able to make a move on this pair until the market ends up breaking below 150, 159, or breaking above 168. I'm not going to play inside of this middle area. I'll let everybody else fight with each other when it comes down to that space. There's no interest of me sitting up there trying to make a trade on that one. So I look at being able to get in at 159.50 for us being able to sell, or for us the overall upside of the move, 168 for us being able to do that. If it does go up to the upside at 168, then I ride it out to 180. If it breaks below, then after that, we'll see the market start to retrace a little bit again. I will probably assume, because the market ended up hitting this support, that we probably might see a bigger pop up to the upside, meaning that I think that the pound will probably end up having a pretty good number uh, when it comes down to that interest rate decision. But once again, probably won't take a trade off of it. We'll wait until the market actually breaks to the outside of that movement. Okay, so that's really nothing when it comes down to that. Other than that, I would say the biggest things, more than anything else, just keep an open mind about how the market is actually moving today. Don't be too much in a rush to be able to jump inside of a trade. I don't think that there's going to end up being like a great trade unless the market ends up giving you a counter trend line break to be able to get in and be able to make a move. Other than that, just kind of keep your eyes open. There's going to be built out consolidations that's going to end up happening in most of these pairs, and that's going to end up being basically retracements that's going to end up happening in most of these pairs as well. Uh, like I said, I'm interested in being able to sell and complete the move on NAS and complete the move on US 30. But until they actually end up breaking out of this channel that they're starting to create, I would not be interested in being able to make a move. This is a short video. I know it's a short video. There's really nothing to be able to talk about at this particular point when it comes down to this movement. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here and go ahead and get ready for my day. But I hope everybody ends up having a good trading day. You might going to end up doing, click on that boost button. Obviously, we're growing the community. Discord information and everything else like that will be presented to everybody on Monday. I got a lot of good stuff brewing over there. Have public collections, private collections of a lot of resources and stuff like that, terminology, boot camps, live streams, uh, the stuff with the automation systems, being able to go from there. And then after that, we can end up having some premium membership groups that you can be able to do inside of that channel for a very small price. If you're interested in being able to learn a little bit more about that. But like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade. Trade your plan. I see each and every one of y'all in the next video later on tonight. Remember, Thursday's night video is the last video that we end up doing for the week. Hopefully, everybody, y'all end up having a great trading day. Take it easy.